Hello friends, this is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to make Pebbles the puppy. Isn't she just like so cute? I used Loops and Threads soft classic yarn. You know what? I am convinced this is a renaming of Craft Smart yarn. I will tell you right off the bat, it doesn't work very great in my machine, and you will see as I struggle with it a little bit. But you know what? I love the texture. I love the color for this project, and so I decided I'm going to just do it. The main color is dark taupe, and the light one is mushroom. And what you see around the neck is just a hair scrunchie, just for extra color and for a collar. Go ahead and grab your 46 needle machine or your 48 needle Sentro, and we're going to get started on this project. You're also going to need your 22 needle machine. So friends, have fun. Please look in the description box below for the particulars of the yarn, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next clip, and let's get going. All right, peeps, are you ready to begin? We're going to bring our last white first black needle in line with our yarn feeder, just like that. We're going to take a waste yarn, which is a yarn that doesn't stay on our project, and it's a different color from our working yarn, so that we can see our stitches and make a straight edge after. But we're going to take our waste yarn, we're going to go in front of that first black needle, behind, in front, behind, in front, behind, all the way around. I'm just letting that yarn glide through my fingers. I'm not putting any tension on it, and we're weaving back and forth just like this all the way around. Should be behind that last white needle when you're done. There we go, behind, into the yarn feeder. And now we're going to slowly turn our handle for this first row, making sure that those loops go down over the red teeth before the needle picks up the yarn, takes it down. And you can watch that as you go. Sometimes the first row likes to stick, and you get tuck stitches or it snags, what have you. And so you want to go slow on the first round, but this yarn is actually working like a dream. So look at that, I don't even have to worry about going slow. I'm going to do 5 rows of waste yarn. This is 3, 4. I'm starting to do less because I've always done 7 rows, and I think, I need 7 rows. I'm going to do 5. So I'm seeing that black divider come around. Before it gets here, I'm going to turn my row counter to 0. I think that was 5. If not, then it's 4. And there we go. I'm going to cut off that tail, open my latch, make sure that goes between the last white and the first black. Then we're going to grab our working yarn, okay? I've got to find the tail for this one. There we go. I'm going to pop that into my yarn feeder. In between the last white, the first black, I'm going to hold both of those tails. I'm going to knit 3 or 4 needles, just like that, maybe 5. Then I'm going to take both ends of my brown yarn and I'm going to tug them, just to snug up those stitches right in there and make sure my tension is nice for the beginning stitches of my row. And then I'm going to just go at an even, slow speed to make sure that every one of those loops from my waste yarn goes down over those red teeth before, there we go, before the needle takes it down. Now I'm going to find the speed that works well with my yarn and with my machine. And I see if and the tension, and I've got my yarn between my fingers like that, and I'm actually thinking I need to put a little bit tighter tension on this. So I'm squeezing my fingers just a little bit, or moving my yarn up right about there. We'll give it a little bit more tension. I could use a tensioner, I have them, but I like the feel of the yarn, which I say in most of my videos, because then I can see if there's a knot coming, or if I'm at the end of the ball, I feel what's happening. If I put it in a tensioner and I don't hold on to the yarn and I don't feel what's happening, I feel lost. I have to have control of the yarn. Okay, so I'm watching as those loops pass down over the red teeth, and I can just feel that I can't go really fast with this yarn, because I'll end up with a tuck stitch. It's a little bit coarser than a lot of the yarns that I use. Loops and Threads yarn usually works okay in the machine, but I think they renamed the Craft Smart yarn to Loops and Threads. It's not the best yarn for our machines. But if you take your time and you go slow, you find the speed that works with the yarn, you find the tension that works with the yarn, then you should have no problem. So this is actually as fast as I'm going to go. Not very fast, but that's okay. I don't need to speed through every project. And I'm going to just keep knitting like this till I get 80 rows. When my project starts to touch the table, then I will come back, and if you're new, make sure that when your project starts to touch the table that you come back and you see what we're going to do with our project, and I'll explain to you why when we get there. See, have that little stitch. I didn't get far enough that I can't fix that, so I am going to fix that with you. I'm going to put that one back over the red teeth as I back up. I could have caught it on the next round around too if I wanted to, but because I didn't get too far. And I'm going to push that loop down over the red teeth. And I'm going to go ahead and try to knit that one again. And some of these might just pop the white. See this one? The white needle would have popped that right off because I went too far. So I'm going to watch that one. I'm going to make sure those go down. And there we go. We're good to go. Because I went a little bit further than what I should have, I had to make sure that that loop went, that I helped down, that it went down over the red teeth, because when the needle popped up, it would have pushed that loop right off the red teeth and would have started to drop our row. So that's how I fixed that one. If I would have gone even one needle further, then I would have had to fix the tuck stitch when I got to it coming around again. So I know that this yarn is going to stick a bit. I'm going to go even a bit slower. But I only need 80 rows for this main body, so we're good. And sometimes when I love the color of a yarn, I don't mind taking the time the machine needs to work it up properly. We don't want tucked stitches. So friends, I'm going to keep going till it touches the table, and then I'll come back and see you. If you do get a tuck stitch and you've gone too far and can't back it up like I did, then go ahead and look on my channel. Go to the playlist and look under techniques. See, this one was going to tuck too, but I caught it because I'm watching as every needle comes by. And if you go to techniques, I will show you how to fix a tucked stitch. All right, friends, for this particular yarn, I went ahead and put my claw weights on. These are really heavy weights. You can get them on Amazon. I have them with my flatbed knitting machines, but you can get them on Amazon. They're really heavy, but they help keep those loops down. And I've loosened my tension just a little bit. It wasn't liking the tighter tension, and it needed the weight. Sometimes that is what you have to do if you want to use the yarn. I don't very often use yarn. As you know from watching my channel, I very seldom will use yarn that I know my machine hates, because why would I put myself through a headache like that on a regular basis? But I really love this color. And another color the other lighter color that I used when you've seen in the pictures at the beginning. I really like this shade. So I thought, well, for this project, I'm gonna endure it. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna now take my claws up, just raise them, poke them in, just like that, and put them higher. And I'm gonna continue on. So I'll see you when my project starts to touch the table. I've made it to 60 rows. My work is starting to touch the table, so I'm gonna take these claw weights off, which I was moving up every 8 or 9, 10 rows, somewhere in there. And then we're going to pick this up. If we don't take care of this problem, like I could have just kept putting the weights on and it would have been okay. But if you don't have heavy weights like that, then if this touches the table and it starts to bunch up like this, it will put slack on the loop that's on these red teeth, and one could fall off and then drop your row. And you don't want that to happen. And you want to have a tighter tension around the rim of the barrel as you're knitting to make your stitches nicer as well. So that's why we do this. So you're going to just pick it up and you're going to roll it up on itself into a donut, just like that. Now you don't need the claw weights because this is giving it enough weight. So that was row 60. But if you want to, if you find that that it's still giving you some trouble, then stick those on over top of your little donut like that and keep going, because they have a little flap like that. So these aren't cheap on Amazon, I know that, but I know that they're so much worth it. If you do a lot of knitting and you have trouble with tuck stitches because you're using yarn that's not ideal for your machine. Well, I wouldn't say that, because I think this is ideal for the machine. It's just, it takes a little bit of patience and a little bit of extra love and attention and time. And The claw weights do make a huge difference if you're using yarn like this. So it might be worth the investment if you use this kind of yarn on a regular basis. Because I haven't had another tuck stitch since I fixed that one with you. Or maybe I had one. But I've been doing a I've got a little bit looser tension on my yarn end, and I've been just rotating the barrel at an even slow speed like this, and it's just working beautifully. So this is 67. I'll see you when I get to 80. All right, so I just finished row 80. I'm going to cut my tail about 6 or 8 inches. I'm going to pop that in between my last white and my first black. I'm going to grab my waste yarn again, and I'm going to put that in just like that. Hold those two tails, and we don't have to worry about the tension of the screen because this is coming out, it's waste yarn. So we're just going to keep knitting, but we want to make sure that those brown loops go down over the red teeth as it picks up this waste yarn. You don't want to tuck stitch on this row. Oops, so this one wasn't going to go down, but I see it's not going to go down, so I'm going to help it down. There we go. Now this is Bernat premium yarn, so I know my machine loves it. So I don't really have to worry about going slow. This is why I choose yarn. This is a prime example as to why I most often, 99% of the time, use yarn that I know my machine loves. Because then it knits so beautifully, just like this. I'm going to do about 7 rows on this one. Just because the way I'm going to cast off with this one, I don't know how many rows I got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See the black thing coming around? I'm going to stop in the middle there. If you were going to be doing a project where you needed to hold these stitches for a while because you had a lot of fiddling to do, then I would cut a long tail and we would cast off with by picking up each stitch, and then this line would hold those stitches in place. What we're going to do now is we're going to cut this off. We're going to open our latch, pop it between the last white and the last black. We're going to rotate our barrel twice. Second time it starts to come off. See how it just falls off? Wonderful. Now, all these stitches are not held, so this can start unraveling very, very easily, which is why I did a few more rows of waste yarn. But we're going to close this end first so that we don't have to worry about that. Grab yourself a 5mm crochet hook and 2 stitch markers. I'm going to move my machine and then I'll meet you back, and we're going to close that one end so that we will prevent it from unraveling. We're going to do that next. All right, so let's find that end that will unravel. This is the end. See, that's the end we began with. We ended with. So we're going to put our right side out. I generally stretch my work, and we will, but we're going to close up this end first. I'm going to just do the best that you can to unravel it just like that. We're going to take our 2 stitch markers. For me, I use bobby pins. It's my favorite stitch marker ever. We're going to go up to the top here. We're going to undo this little knot that we had. And where our waste yarn is coming out, let's take that out of the center too. Where our waste yarn is coming out of that loop right here, you're going to put a stitch marker. You're going to go to the left of it, and you see our working yarn is here, and it's coming out of this bottom loop here. Go to the one right above it, right there. And when you pull on this loop, it's actually this working yarn right here. That's the stitch you're going to put your bobby pin in, or your stitch marker. Take those outside of your work, in between those 2 stitch markers. We want to find the very side edge over here. So we know there's 46 stitches. We need to find 23 and 24. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. This is the very far side. I'm going to go under stitch 24. Count that as number 1. Worked. Go up and take 23, bring it through the loop on my hook. Now we've worked 2 stitches. I'm going to go down to the bottom row, take that very next loop through the loop on my hook. That's 3. Up to the top, 4. Go down to the bottom, grab the very next loop. 5. Up to the top, grab the next loop. 6, 7, 8, 9. Doesn't matter if you grab them from the top like I just did there, or if you go underneath and do it this way, whatever is a better feel for you. You just got to get those loops through the loop on your hook. You're going to go across until you pick up all your stitches. If you are new at this, you want to count every stitch beginning with that first one that you put on your hook, because if you miss one of these loops by mistake, when we take off our waste yarn, that row will unravel, and you don't want that. So best to count. And when you get to the end, the bottom one here will always be 45. This will be 46. So keep going. Well, I'm almost there, so I'm going to just stick with you. And you're going to pick up those top loops. This is why you use a contrasting color of waste yarn, so you can see your stitches very easily. If you were to use one that was similar, you'd be fighting to find your stitches. So this is why we use waste yarn and why we choose a contrasting color. So we are closing up our end just like this, getting close there. That one, that one. This is second last one. That would be 45. Take out your bobby pin. And sometimes these last ones are tight, so you can just pull up on your bobby pin, get underneath that stitch, pull it out, work it. Then you're going to take your yarn tail, yarn over, pull it through that loop, push down, tie off. We have just closed our end. Isn't that beautiful? Now we want to take off our waste yarn. All you got to do, because we started on that end, is just grab the tail and take it off. But I'm going to show you a little trick. If you got a long yarn end here that this wraps around as you are taking off your waste yarn and tangles around and gives you a headache, put it on a needle, take it down through that stitch, out the side here, put your finger there so you make a loop, then take your needle off. It's coming out there, so it's not in the way. You have a loop there so you can go ahead and pull it after you get your waste yarn off. But then when you are unwinding your waste yarn, nothing tangles around. Every time I do this, I like to try to remember to thank Tina Norton for that idea from our Facebook group. Part of my channel, who shared that with us. And it is such a great little tip that helps us all, okay? Because sometimes your yarn tail will get all tangled around your waste yarn as you're pulling it off. This prevents that. Almost there. I'm winding this up because I'm going to use it again. All right, there you go. You have a beautiful, beautiful finished edge. Now what you got to do is just pull this out. Actually put this back on your needle. And we're going to hide it into our work, just on the edge there. Just like that. Cut it off. And there you go. I'm going to give this one more stretch just because I don't think I gave it a proper stretch. This one is not going to come undone because of the way we cast on. We take this one off differently, but we have to put some filling, some stuffing into this piece before we close up the other end. That's why I want to give it a good stretch, make sure it's worked very well. There we go. Now grab your fiber fill. We're going to pull this apart, put it in here. I do not want a round piece. I want more of a flatter piece, but I want it to be full but flat. Does that make sense? I'll show you. We just want it to have a nice, like a pillow that you sleep on. That's what we want it to look like. Get that all nicely tucked in there. Gonna play with it just to spread it out and get it nice and smooth. go. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to put stuff a little bit more down in there, get it in my corners. I'm going to just push it down a little bit more to compact it. And then I'm going to keep adding more. So now I'm just pushing that in with my fingers like this and playing with it to compact it. And now what was up here is now here. But I want it to be an even thickness. That's about, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but that's about how thick we want it. I'm going to continue doing that till I get as far as I can down to this end, and then I'll meet you back. There we go. I think that's good. It's starting to come out the top there. We're going to close it off. And before we get it completely closed, we're going to assess it, but we're going to start closing it. So what you're going to do is you're going to roll up this other end here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to close the same end, but it's a little bit different in finding the first and the last stitch. But after that, I'll set you free. It's a little awkward to do it like this, but we're going to manage. You're going to look for your waste yarn now. And when you pull on it, see when you go like that, the loop that it's coming through, which is this brown one, is your first loop. Then to the very left of it, where you see your working yarn, it's coming up here. The loop right beside it is the last loop. You're going to do the same thing you did with the other side. Make sure your tails are out. You're going to count 1, 2, 3, all the way to 23 and 24. You're going to put your hook. Let's say this is 24. Under 24, count that as number 1. Then you're going to go to 23. Grab that, work it through, count that as number 2, and come down and back and forth and back and forth. I'm not going to start it because I want to make sure that that's the right stitch. So I'm going to count around starting at this first stitch marker, and I'm going to count around and put my hook in the 24th stitch. Follow the same process that I did for the other side. Okay, I'm almost at the end, but I checked mine. When I did that, I just played with it here and I made sure it was the same thickness all the way up until I got, before I closed it. So when you get to about here, like when there's enough room for you to add some filling if you need to, just stop and check it, okay? So I am almost done. I'm gonna pick up on this bobby pin so that I can see that stitch. I'm gonna work it. I'm gonna pick up on this one so I can see it. Then I can pull it out, work that one, yarn over, pull through. Just like that. This one's not long enough to get tangled around, so now we're gonna remove our waste yarn. To do that, we have to roll it up to the very top row where you grab that yarn tail and you can rock it through those stitches. Pinch the stitch, pull the tail, go down 1/4 of the way, roll it up, pinch the stitch, pull the tail. We have to remove the first row before we can unwind it. Pinch the stitch, pull the tail, and go all the way around. You only have to do it in like 4 places. Pinch the stitch, pull the tail, then you can pull this off just like that, okay? Go ahead, remove your waste yarn. I'm going to now take this tail. I'm going to pop it down into there, into my work, pull it out, cut it off, and set this piece aside. But before you do that, you can just play with it. Make sure it's nice and even. If you need to pull up some fiber fill into the corner there, that's good. And when this fiber fill settles, it's going to stay in place, so it's going to hold its shape greatly. But there we go. There's a little lump there, so I'm going to work with that. But we've got pretty even thickness. That's good enough all the way across. We're going to set this aside. We're going to grab our 46 needle machine again. We're going to grab this color of yarn. We do not need waste yarn for this next part. And we're going to move on. Set that aside, set up, and I'll be right back with you. I have my machine set up, and we're going to now work on the head. So bring your last white, first black, in line with your yarn feeder. You're going to take your working yarn color, same color as your body. We're going to cast on going in front of that first black, behind, in front, and behind, all the way around. And before we get to the end of our row, we're going to set our counter to 0. Go. Once I get behind that last white, I'm going to pop that into my yarn feeder. I'm going to very slowly knit the first round, making sure those loops are over the two red teeth before that needle picks up the yarn and brings it down. So far, so good, because I'm going slow. I have a good amount of slack coming out of the ball. And there we go. I always pull this tail down. I feel it helps the first needle knit better. Always kind of bunches it up there. But I know this yarn from doing the body, so I'm gonna just go slow. When I get about 5 or 6 rows on, then I'll add my claw weights. And friends, you're gonna just knit like this until you get 42 rows. Okay, so keep going. I'm concentrating so hard on this. It's okay, I've had a couple cups of coffee already this morning, had a good breakfast, and now I'm ready to get at her. So friends, keep going until you get 42 rows, and then I'll meet you back. I've completed 42 rows. Using the claw weights, I was able to go at a nice even speed for all 42 rows and not have any problems. But I went pretty slow, as you saw. I maintained that speed and it was good. Okay, you see this little tie here because I ran out of yarn. I had to add some more from another ball. So I'm going to cut off a yarn tail that goes around my barrel 1.5 times. We're going to open that latch, pop it between the last white and the first black. Take our needle, place it on that yarn tail, and we're going to cast off. We're going to do a drawstring cast off so that we can cinch it closed when we get to that part. So I'm going to rotate my handle. This first needle drop down so that stitch is now able to come off. And this one, pull straight out rather than up. Because if you pull up too hard, then the next loop is going to fall off that needle and you're going to drop your roll. Okay? So once you get some slack on there, you can take a few at a time. This one won't let go. There we go. Holding them securely with your thumb. Pulling straight out. And you're going to go around until you have all your stitches removed. I have it off the machine. We are going to now stretch it out. That's how it looks before it's stretched. Look at that, such a beautiful difference. Okay, but I'm going to stretch it widthwise and then lengthwise. This is a medium 4-weight yarn, but it is really thick. And that's why it gave us some trouble on the machine. Thick and coarse. But once you work with it and you stretch the stitches out, it seems to soften up quite a bit. But it's actually, even though it's difficult to work with, it makes a very nice stuffed animal because it holds its shape. And it just looks good. So we're going to persevere through it. And I might persevere through it again if I make another one. Okay, so we are going to cut this little tail off so it's not so long now that we've pulled it. We're going to just reinforce that end closed by going around that top row of stitches. So I'm just going to pick up the top row just like this, all the way around, and once I pick up a few, oops, I snagged that, then I'm going to pull. Don't pull too hard because, trust me, it doesn't take much for it to snap. And then we're going to pick up some more, and we're going to pull. You see how that helps to close it? Also helps to reinforce your end. Get under there. And just a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to just pick up one little strand there, tie off a knot, push that knot down with my thumb. Then I'm going to poke this through that hole, bring my yarn tail with it, pull on that yarn tail to get that knot to go on the inside so you don't see it. Then I'm going to pinch the top and I'm going to bring it through. We're going to have this folded in half essentially, just like this. Here's the other end that we just did. Make sure this tail is out. Then you're going to take this other tail and you're going to do the same thing, making sure you smooth the top so you have a nice finish when you are closing it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this tight. I'm going to close it, then I'm going to reinforce around just like I did the other side. And when I have that done, then I'll show you what we do next. All right, so once that's done, you're going to take this inside one and you're going to pull up on it so that those two sides are really close together. We're going to go ahead and we're going to tie this off, bringing the inside layer right up to the outside layer. Again, this is where you have to be careful because it will snap if you pull too hard. And we're going to, that's 2 and 3. I'm just going to cut these off shorter like that. Turn this the other way so those strands are on the inside. And we're going to give this a good stretch all the way around the perimeter of the piece, just like that. Okay. There we go. Now once we have an edge established, we're going to take another piece of yarn that goes around 1.5 times or more. You can always cut it off later. I took more. And we're going to, along that very edge, we're going to put a drawstring. So we're going to pick up 1 row, 1 stitch, that's 2 bars, pull it through. Oops, I got a snagged tail there, look at that. So that's good to know. I'm going to cut that off. It's a good thing that I made that longer because now I have enough on my... So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to pick up 1 row, go over 1. Pick up 2 bars, over 2 bars. Pick up 2 bars, pull that through, leaving a tail, smoothing this out as you go along, over, under, smoothing it out, over, under, all the way around. I'll meet you when you get to the beginning. I've made it at the beginning, and now you can see we've got a head started. Okay, so we're going to stuff that, but we need to find our eyes that we're going to use. If you're going to use safety eyes, you're going to want to grab them now. And if you are going to sew them on later, then you just skip this next part. But I ordered some eyes that just came in. I don't know what I think of them. This is how they come. Like that. I mean, those are very pretty. These ones are too big, I can tell that right now. But then they come with these little shiny things, and you put them onto the piece. Well, I showed you black, so now it makes that clear part black. But I thought that this size of eye would have one of every color in it, and the next size of eye would have one of every color in it. So I'm showing you this so that you know when you order that this size has all one color, and the next size has all one color. This size here, let's see what color is that, silver. This one here, pink. That would look nice on the dog, on that color, if those are the right size. So maybe I do like these now that I see them, but at the same time, I wish that this pink would be on all the different sizes so you could choose whatever color you want. Now, every time I use this color, this size of eye, I have to use pink. So that part I don't like. And then I also wonder, when you wash these, when you wash your piece, what's going to happen to this little thing? Is it going to just like disintegrate? So anyways, it looks beautiful, but I'm not sure how it washes and wears. So if you know and you've used them, put it in the comments below so others can benefit too. But let's see, is that going to be the right size? I think I'm going to go bigger than this one. So that's the idea of the eyes. I'm going to determine what size I want, and then I'll let you know when I figure that out. All right, so I figured it out. I actually am taking the 16 millimeter eye, and I'm stealing the 14 millimeter insert. You can see it doesn't quite reach the edge of that clear, but that's okay. And it still looks good. And I'm going to put the 14 millimeter insert onto the 16 millimeter eye, and that's what we're going to use. But we're going to set that aside for now and set up our 22 needle machine. You know what helped me decide that? Is I went and got myself a chocolate chip cookie. So now you're all going to run and get yourself a cookie. But anyways, we are going to take our 22 needle machine. We're going to take our contrasting color of yarn that we want to use for the nose. And we're going to bring that last white first black needle in line with our yarn guide. We're going to cast on in front, behind, in front, behind, all the way around. Just letting it slip through my fingers. This is another loops and threads yarn that is going to probably give me a little bit of hassle, but I'm going to switch my counter to 0 and get ready to go, and it'll be okay. We'll make it work. So I'm going to go very slow for my first round, making sure those loops drop down over the red teeth. And there we go. Pull that little loop down there. And I'm going to keep going just like this for 18 rows. And I'm going to go, I can already tell I have to go the same speed with that darker color. It's the same yarn. It feels the same in the way of it's a little bit coarser. So I have to take my time and go slow. 18 rounds, friends. When you get there, I'll see you back. I just finished 18 rounds. I'm going to cut off a long tail that goes around my barrel 1.5 to 2 times. And we are going to take that out of the yarn guide. Make sure it goes between the last white and the first black. And we're going to cast off. So this time I'm going to just show you a different way. You can rotate your barrel all the way around. Here's the first needle that we're going to take off. You want to stop before that needle pops up, because if this needle pops up, it'll push this little loop off and drop your row. So I'm going to stop there, and then I can, all of these loops are now ready to be removed. So I can just continue on my merry way, removing them from the machine. Go ahead, friends, take all your stitches off your machine, and then I'll see you back. Now that I have the nose complete, I took the head and I stuffed it as firmly as I could stuff it for the time being. Okay, so we're going to set that aside, and I'm going to take my eyes and I'm going to set those aside. We're going to take the nose here and we're going to stretch it both directions. Then we're going to tighten one side. Go ahead and tighten that. I'm going to cut this off so it's shorter. Pop that on my needle. And I'm going to go around the top row of stitches so that I can tighten that closed. I usually always just do it all the way around once. See, just like that, so simple. From there, I'm going to pick up one strand and I'm going to tie a knot. Push that down with my thumb, pop this needle into the center there, and pull on it so that knot comes into the inside. Then we're going to put this in half, just like this. Okay? Leaving this tail out. So I've just folded that inside so that this part that we just fixed is now coming out the side here, and I'm going to tighten this one around it. Doing the same, making this a little bit more manageable in length. I'm going to pop that out of the way, and I'm going to go around and reinforce this one time, right around that first row of stitches. Just a little bit more here. Then I can take these two tails and I can tie a firm knot. From there, you're going to just cut these off so they're shorter. Turn this the other way so they're on the inside of your work. And you want to smooth out your sides. And we're going to do I can actually probably, no, a little bit too short. Let me grab my yarn. I'm going to take a tail or a yarn end that I can use to put around the edge of this piece. Now we're not going to cinch it tight. This one we're going to leave in a more of an open shape, but we still need to make it a little bit smaller. So we're going to go under one stitch, over the next, under, over, under, all the way around that very top ridge. Under, over, under, over, under, all the way around. Having made it all the way around, I'm going to then take some stuffing and we're going to stuff our little nose. Just like that, get it nice and firm. Then you're going to pull on this, maybe put all 5 fingers or 4 fingers in there and pull it around those 4 fingers, leaving it open like that. Okay, so we've got an opening. That's going to go against our face, so we don't have to worry about that, but I'm going to just tie a little knot to keep that shape. So there we go, just like that. I'm going to cut off one of these, the shortest one. I'm going to tuck it in there. We are going to grab the head, and I'm going to have this as my opening part, as the top part of the head, because I'm going to just cinch it closed as much as I can there. Put a knot that I can take off. That's just going to hold it sort of closed so I can get the shape. And then we're going to pop this on. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because then I can fill it with a little bit more fiber fill, but more importantly, I can get in there and put my eyes in there once we get the nose put on. I'm going to put the nose right when you have your body, which if you just take it and you fold it in half like that and you pop this on to the top like that, you can see that's going to go. Let me get this out of the way now. I'm just eyeballing it. So here's going to be the that's going to be sewn to your body. So then you're going to go up just where it starts to get to the side. Okay, so up about, I'm going to place my nose and then I'm going to measure it for you. But again, our tensions are all different. So it's gonna not be the same as yours. And I don't like how round that is. So I'm going to take a little bit of my stuffing out. Then I can make it a little bit more pointy rather than round as it was. We're going to put our needle on. I think I have a long enough piece here that I can work with. It's really eyeballing it. So you know that this is the top of your head. This is going to be attached to the body. You want to put your nose so it's at the front of the face like that, but not too low. About like that. So the top of this is above the middle, like the middle is about here. I would say the middle is there. So your top of your nose is going just slightly above the center. Okay? I think that you'll be able to eyeball that without me giving you such specifics. And then we're going to pick up a piece from the base and pick up a stitch. And we're going to sew this on in a manner that looks like a nose. I don't want this to be really, this base to be too wide out so it looks like a little round ball on the face. I want to sort of position it so that it looks like a nose. So I'm going to pick up another stitch just like that. I'm going to go up and I'm going to pick up, you see what I'm doing? Picking up 2 bars there, and I'm going to pull it. I'm going to go back down as close to the piece as I can, to the nose as I can, and I'm going to pick up another row. And I'm going to pull. And I'm going to just keep pinching and positioning until I have it the shape that I want it. Pick up another stitch here and in here. And how I'm going to get this to be a little bit narrower in here is by going in a little bit farther on the side here and then up higher here. So it's all in your sewing technique, and I wish I could just explain it better than that, but I just eyeball it. I just eyeball it and then I sew it where I hold it into how I want the shape to be, and then I just sew it on accordingly. And when you get your eyes on, friends, it will all come together and it's going to look beautiful. So don't stress it too much. I mean, there's always some stress in putting faces on. I know it just seems to be the hardest part of any animal that we make. But we get through it and we do it and it looks beautiful. I'm going to continue going around, sewing that beautiful nose on, and I'll see you back when I have it completed. There we go. I think that that's good the way it is. You can see it from all angles. It looks like a, like a handle on something, but it will look better in time. So now I'm going to take a little bit more stuffing. I'm going to undo this knot without putting another permanent knot. Oh, Shelley. Shelley, Shelley, Shelley. There we go. And we are going to stuff this head nice and full. We do not want our stitches separating, but we do want to have enough in there that we have a nice round head, and it's surprising how much you can get in there. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to tie a knot here again. Now that I put a little bit more in there, I guess I have to leave the knot in there, and I'll tell you why. I'm gonna shove that as much as I can. I'm going to give it a little twist to help me hold that in place as I tie a knot. That will keep it secure like that just for a second, but we don't want to completely close it because we have to put our eyes in. But we've got enough of an opening there that we can get our fingers in there. I'm going to take my eyes, but I want to have it tightly closed so that I can get a better visual as to where the eyes go. So I'm going to pick those up. I'm going to hold them on. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 rows up from the nose, and about like that. Or am I going to go like that? Maybe 2 rows up. Yep, I think 2 rows up. Okay, so you hold your eyes on like that and place them where you think you want them. Then I'm going to pop that in, pop the first one in. Get in there with this back. And I'm going to push that on nice and tight. It's hard to push on, so that's a good sign. There we go. Got it on nice and tight. It's not going anywhere. So make sure that I have that in the right place before I pop this other one on. That is very tight. And then let's see over here. I think that's right. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, and then we're going to close up the top. I'm just going to mention, if you're not comfortable with just popping these on, you can do what I do in a lot of my eyes, as I put a bead of hot glue on there, and then I pop it on, and then it's glued right to the eye and it won't come off. But I think because these are so big, I don't think, like, it's not going anywhere. So I feel confident not having to do that, but that is an option for you if you feel that you want a little bit more security. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find my needle. I'm going to put whichever one is longest onto my needle, and we're going to begin closing this top. So same way we have done all along. We're going to just pick up that top row of stitches and pull. Get under that top row of stitches and pull. And we're going to keep doing this all the way around and around and around as many times as we have to get this completely closed. Now, you just, every time you go around one time, assess your work and see if you need to add any more stuffing into there. Once you have it closed nice and tight, you're going to put those strands on your needle. Well, I tied a firm couple of knots under the stuffing out the head and pull. Cut it off. And there you go. We've got what looks sort of like a dog. But now what you're going to want to do is grab your 22 needle machine. We're going to make the ears. And once we add the ears and we add the rest of the nose, this little guy is going to be, as you've seen at the beginning of the video, absolutely adorable. But now that I know that I have that positioned properly, I'm going to go ahead and knock this off. I always leave that until I have everything on that needs to be on. So, oops, and now I messed that up. So let me take that up. There we go. And I knotted off at the very end. So I'm going to come out this side and redo that. So I'm going to tie a knot here and I'm going to hide my ends. Grab your 22 needle machine, friends, and whatever color you want for the ears. And we are going to do that next. It is now time for the ears. I'm going to do one ear in this light color and one ear in that dark color, okay? So what we're going to do is we are going to cast on, just like this, how we've been doing. I'm not going to do this whole thing with you. Oops. Into the yarn feeder, change your row counter to 0. Go slow for your first round. I pull that down, and maybe a little slow for the second round. And we are going to do 26 rounds. Then, when you get your 26 rounds completed, you're going to cut off a long tail that's long enough to go around your barrel 1.5 times to 2 times, and you're going to cast off just like we did on the other pieces. So, okay, we're going to cast on. We're going to do, what did I say? 26 rows, and then we're going to cast off. Do that for 2 ears. There are my ears, but before we put those on, I decided that I'm going to fix my nose here. I don't like how round it looks. And you know what? This is all part and parcel for doing facial work. Sometimes you get it on, even if this is like the 10th dog that I've done, which it's not, but if it was, sometimes you just have to look at it and say, what can I do to make that better? And it takes more than one try. Don't always just be satisfied with the first try. I'm going to knot that 2 stitches up just to attach it. This is paying attention to detail. And when we pay attention to detail, we make the necessary changes. So I'm going to do this on camera so you can see. I'm going to hide this yarn tail. I have it knotted on. I'm going to hide this yarn tail. I'm going to go ahead and put this long one back onto my needle. You might need to do this too. Okay? And I am going to pick up 2 rows up, and I'm going to go over 1 full row, pick up a stitch. And I'm going to spread this nose out. But I'm going to go down this way. I think I'm going to have an easier time going down this way. I'm going to pick up the next stitch, 2 rows up, and I'm going to come down 2 rows over, pick up a stitch. It's going to flatten out this nose a little bit. 2 bars up and down. Make it a little bit wider, not so pointy. You can see already on what it's doing to one side. See, I'll give you that angle. I'm going to do that all the way around. So I'm going to pick up 2 stitches above and go down. You might not feel you need to do this, but I just wasn't liking how it was looking. It was bugging me, and I thought, no, it's an easy fix. We're going to go ahead and do it. And I'm going to position that. Get down in there. I already like that better. It looks more like the face than something that's just was stuck on like this. Okay, so just by making, instead of your edges going in like this, I'm flattening them out onto the piece. So I'm going to pick up and making less of a curve where it's joining the face. See, you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to finish that all the way around. Look at the difference of that to that. This one goes in. This one makes it look more like it's part of the face. There we go. Taking our ears, we're going to stretch them out. We're going to close one side, folding that up. We're going to cinch closed one side. We're not going to do the same to the other side, so don't get ahead of me. We're going to this is a really, really firm feeling yarn. So the shape of this this dog turns out so nice when you have firm yarn like this, but it's just a little bit harder to work with, as I've mentioned many times already. But we're going to put that on our needle. I'm going to go around and I'm going to reinforce the top of this just once. tying it off once and twice. Pop that tail to the inside. Pull on it so that the knot comes in, cut it off. Pull it back out. Now for this one, we're going to pop this onto our needle. We're going to close it, but we're not going to close it all the way. Put 2 fingers in there and close it like that. See, we're just going to make a flat edge at the top there. We don't want it cinched. 1 finger probably is good enough. There we go. Tie this off so it stays. Then you're just going to go across and you're going to pick up on each side just to keep this, bring it back over, just to keep this edge sewn together. Bring it over, go through, pick up that top row, go through, pick it up, and I'm going to do one more, knot it off. Then what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to bring this one little end side in halfway and this side in halfway, and see what that's doing at the top there, making a nice finish. And then I'm going to just sew that and sew this through. Bring it through. I'm going to go back over to here because I didn't get this side done properly. Just stake it through the inside there. And I'm going to go around once here. There we go. I can knot that off. We've got one ear completed. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do that to the second one, and then we'll attach them. There we go. We have our 2 ears all ready to be put onto the head. And so what you're going to do is you're going to, let's just take this one. I'm going to pop that onto our needle. We're going to center them on the sides here, of course, okay? But you don't want to go really high up. Pay attention to that little detail too. For the dogs, you want to come down quite low. So I'm going to go there, and when I attach this one, then I'm going to measure it for you to let you know how far down I've gone. But how we're going to attach those is we're going to pick up a part of the head, then we're going to come over to the top here and pick up a piece of the ear. Go back in, pick up a stitch, come on top here, and go through and pick up. We're going to do that all the way across. You're not going to tie this one off and knot it off until you have the other one on, in case you realize that, oh, it's too far forward or it's too far back or it's not centered and you have to take it off. Once you knot it, then it's harder to get at. So go ahead, sew this on. Where did I end off? Under there. So I'm going to come here. Sew this one on, then sew the other one on. And as you've noticed, where we've got this seam here, that's towards the head. That's touching the head. Okay. I'm going to just keep picking up. And going through the top, going to the bottom there, picking up and pulling, picking up really close to that last place where I picked up, grabbing some stitch there, then going back on the top here. Got a little bit of a snag in this yarn tail. Pick up one more. I'm going to go down a little bit farther on the ear. Instead of going up here, I'm going to pick up this first stitch right there that's along the side. Pull that through, and then I'm going to pop this back into the head and out the back, out to the side here. Then when I pull on that, it makes a nice edge here. You see how that pulled it in? If you didn't, go back and slow down this video and watch. It's very satisfying. And then it makes a nice round edge there. I'm going to just cut this off so it's not quite so long, and I have a snag on the end anyways. I'm going to let that hang there. I'm going to grab my tape measure. Now we already tell it's in the right place. From the center, 1 3/4 inches down. You can see there it is right there, okay? That's how far I did mine. But you eyeball yours and see how it works with the size of your head. Then the other one is going to go right there. And once we get the black part on the nose, this little guy is looking so cute. Okay, I'm gonna put the other one on. Once I have it placed where I think I like it, I'm gonna tie a knot and hide it into my work. I like how he looks. So cute. Now we're gonna take some black yarn for the nose. We're gonna put it on our needle. We're going to come up through the side here just to give it an entry and an exit point. I'm gonna come up, I'm gonna start my first row about there. So not quite to the top, but you'll see. Let's bring this in. Gotta go closer because I can't reach it. I'm gonna come up to about there, I think. Nope. Well, we're gonna start there because it's already through. And then I'm gonna determine. Pull that through so I have a tail long enough to tie off and hide later. Actually, that was good. And then I'm gonna go across 1, 2, 3 rows. 1, 2, 3 rows, straight across. And then I'm gonna come back out where I went in here. And get this on the other side. And we're gonna pull that through. And we're gonna just go back and forth. So that's 1, and you're gonna just only pull it so it's snug against the piece, but don't pull it too tight so that it compromises the look of your nose, okay? Then we're gonna go, this is 2, and this is Bernat Premium yarn. So it's medium weight, worsted weight yarn, 4 weight, in case you're counting how many times I'm going back and forth. This is 3 coming up beside it there. And placing it evenly. Get that out of the way. And down beside there. Coming back up beside the base there. This is 4. Ay, ay, ay. 4. Probably take 7 or 8 times, I'm thinking. And we'll go again. Getting underneath that stuffing. This is 5. And guide it with your hand, so it's your thumb, so it's nice and neat. And 6, I think this is. Oh yeah, your ears are getting in the way, guy. That's 6. I'm going to come around the top again like this, just to place it like that. And go back in. I'm going to make this just a little bit thicker in the center here. But I want to get one on the top row there too. There we go. And into the center here. I think that's 8. And I'm going to just assess it here. I think it's looking good. I want to go around like that. So I'm going to go across and come into the middle here. I got to hold it this way. So I'm going to go back down to here, and then I'm going to come up underneath. I'm going to lift those little bars up so I can get underneath, but in the center. Then I hide that line. Pull that down. There we go. And then I'm going to come down 1, 2, about 3 stitches, and then come back up, pull up those bars so that I am hiding that end. Don't want to see that break right here. And I'm going to do this twice. Just like that. Let that fall over. Take a look. see here. I'm going to go down one more time, right down here. Then I'm going to come back up to this nose here. Fine detail work, friends. Take time to look at it. Make sure it's all even and it's exactly how you want it. I want it to be a little more rounded on the edges here, so in the center. So I'm going to just add another little strand right in the center there. And I put the top, and I think that's good. And then I'm going to go in and out where I came in, right there with my needle. Position this one up at the top again. There we go, gave it a nice rounded look. I'm going to cut these off, tie a knot, put these back on my needle and hide them into my work. There we go. Now we're going to take one more strand of black. We're going to come up from the head. We're going to just go and get that in there. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in on this side. Here's where the center is. This is supposed to be centered. And if I play with it, I'll get it centered. But I'm going to come down maybe 2 stitches, and then I'm going to come over a row. I'm going to just put that in and then take it out like this. Then my end will be there. Pop it on the other side. It's easier for me to get it out that way. And then from there, we're going to just go across. Just give them a little mouth. Nothing big. I just want to go right across like that. And one more time. And I'm going to just see if that's centered enough for my liking. It's not. Got to pull it out. Oops, wrong side. Pull this one out. I got to go a little farther this way. So I'm going to take that, yeah, what was I thinking? Over here, make sure it's centered. And then we're going to come back out 1 and over again into that point, down into our work, out where we went in, or where the other strand is. You can get it there. I'm struggling because my little needle is sharper. The little metal needle is sharper. It's actually hard to do with the little needle here because it's not long enough. But the little plastic end broke off earlier, and I actually broke another one about a week ago. So now I need to get more. But I do have lots of different needles in my case here that I can use. But this one is not quite as pointy, so it takes a little bit of effort to get it through. But there we go. Isn't he sweet? So I'm going to tie this off, hide my ends. Then we're going to grab our body and we're going to work on that next, okay? So put this aside, grab the body that we had put aside a long time ago, and we're going to work on that. All right, taking the body, you're going to put it in half, and I've already done the other side. You'll see that. We're going to work on that. But you're going to put it in half, and then you're going to just take a piece of yarn, and you're going to go in through the center here, and you're going to just tie this, just to help you hold it in place for the next part. I've gone ahead and done half of what I need to do here. That's why you see these legs like this. So I'm going to show you on the other half. Tie a bow, because you're going to have to take this off. This is just to help you keep this secure while you're doing this next part, okay? We're going to close up this side here, but we're going to do it on the other side. I've done one side. We're going to do the other side. We're going to take a piece of yarn, pop it onto our needle. We're going to do a mattress stitch closing. And I'm going to tell you how many stitches you go down, but we're gonna put this in half like this, okay? We're gonna fold this up You don't have to be too particular about this one. Only thing you have to pay attention to is you got to make sure that the wide part of the V of your stitch is going to the left on both sides. So this is naturally coming like this. If it's not, then just give it a little bit of a turn. This is not the same row as this one, but that's okay. We just want to fold it in half. But first we're going to go up to the top here and we're going to attach our yarn. So tie a knot, 1 and 2. This we're going to hide later. And we're going to fold this, making sure it's in half. We're going to do the mattress stitch. So here's the row I'm going to follow. I'm going to go into there. I'm going to pick up 1 bar and 2 bars. So 2 stitches, and I'm going to pull this through. I'm going to go over to the other side where we've got the wide part of the V going to the left. And I'm going to get up into there and I'm going to pick up 1 and 2. And I'm going to pull that through. I'm going to count that as 1 set. Okay, so that's 1. And then here's where it's coming out. So I'm going to go in 1, 2. So this is the second. And here's where it's coming out. 1, 2. So I've done it twice now. So every time I do this side and that side, I'll count that as 1. So that's twice. Here's where it's coming out. Pick up 1, 2. This is 3 and 3. 4 and 4. 5 and 5. And I can pull this a little bit here. Just hold this one and pull this one and it'll bring it together. So we've done 5. Here's where it's coming out. 6 and 6. 7, 7. Some people say, I can't stay on the same row, and they put all kinds of gadgets in there to help them, and that's good if that's what does help you. But all you got to do is look where it's coming out, and then that's the row that you're doing. That's 8. Here's where it came out here, so you know you're on that row. That's 8 and 9 times is what we're going to do. 9 times, then you're going to pull this tight. See how that is just made a beautiful, beautiful seam? You're going to take this, you're going to go in that last stitch and this side here, and you're going to knot it off. 1 and 2. Pop that needle down into your work underneath your stuffing and pull it out the side. Cut it off. This one we tied a double knot already, so I'm just going to pop this one onto my needle. Take it down into the work to hide it. Cut it off. Do that exact same thing on the other side, just like this. Going down for a count of 9 sets, okay? And when you have that done, put another piece of length of yarn on your hook, or pardon me, on your needle, and come back and we'll do the next part. Now that you've got your ends done, you can untie this little yarn strand that you used and let it go. We're going to then, get that head out of the way, we're going to then go to the center. So just eyeball where the center is. I'm going to choose this row right here. And I'm going to tie that on, leaving a tail long enough to put on my needle and hide. I'm going to tie a double knot here. From there, we're going to follow this same row up. Whichever one is where your tie is, that's what you're going to follow up. I'm going to go up 2 or 3 stitches. I'm going to do 3 and go straight down. I'm going to pull that through and pull. Then I'm going to come back up on this other side because I want to get this side done now too. And I'm going to come back up to that place. There we go. And then I'm going to go back in the top of where that stitch was. It's a little bit different when you start out. And I'm going to pull that through. There we go. So I've started my seam up to the top here. I'm going to go back into the inside and I'm going to go up about 1 inch or so. And then I'm going to come back out on that same row I'm working. Okay. And I came up about an inch, but this is where I left off. So I got to go back down and meet that seam so that I can now have that part go in, okay? So then I'm going to go back to the other side. My oven timer's going off. I'm going to go back up, and then I'm going to go in about another half an inch or so. Pull, and this is where I came out before, so I'm going to go back in so I can join that seam. I'm just going to go back and forth like that until I get it up where I want it. And I believe I'm going to go 3 inches. I better go get my chicken out of the oven before it burns. But let me just do that one more time with you. And then back down, because you don't want a space that doesn't have where you're pulling, okay? Does that make sense? So you're going to just go back and forth until you can make a seam. I think I did 3 inches. Let me just double check before I go up to my chicken. I did 3 1/4 inches. And that's how high up you're going to go here. And when I get there, I'll see you back, but I got to run up and take the chicken out of my oven. All right, I'm back. And let me just measure this. I'm going to do one more little section. So up I go. Up about 1/4 inch there. Go back in where I ended the last stitch. Come right through. And there we go. But we're not finished. We have to take this now down. Just pop it into your work and bring it down through your seam to meet that other strand. We can tie this off. I'm going to cut this off, hide our ends, then we're going to shape our feet. All right, so to shape the paws, not the feet, we are going to add, which way am I going to go? Let me just see here. I'm going to start here. We're going to add a strand of yarn here. So pick up the very stitch on this edge. Again, leave enough so that you can put it on your needle and hide it. We're going to tie a knot. And friends, what you're going to do is you're going to weave in and out. So you're going to go under one stitch, come across, just pick up a section. You're basically going over every 2 stitches. Sometimes if you can get into just every stitch, then that works too. So here I'm going to go into the next one and the next one. But if it's too tight for you, then it's okay if you go do a 1.5 stitches or so, okay? And we're going to just weave that in and out until we get to the very center. In the center, you're going to pop your needle, just like that. Then you're going to take this, let me put it this way, and you're going to pull it in and gather it. You don't want it really tight, just so it looks nice. Let me see if I got a little bit more than, make sure both sides are equal. There we go. Put this back on, well, it is on my needle. You're going to have to tie off a knot here just to secure it. Push that down with your thumb. Then you're going to go ahead, continue on across, and do this one. Get into that very last stitch. You're going to pull that in. That's about right. And then hold that with your fingers in place so that you can get in there. Tie a knot to secure it so it stays in place. One more time. Just like that. I'm going to pop that into my work underneath the stuffing, out the piece, cut it off. Take this other tail, hide that in my work. We're going to attach our head, then we're going to make the tail. So once we attach our head, we will need to use our 22 needle Addi one more time. We'll make the tail, and folks, we've got this cute, cute little puppy. Oh my goodness, look at that. See, now you've got shaped legs. So cute, so soft. And we're going to just attach the head to whatever side you think looks the best for the front. You assess the situation. I'm going to do this other side. I think they're both the same, but I'm going to do this side. Take another piece of yarn, good length, put it on your needle. You're going to take your head, and I'm going to give you a side version of it. Your nose is going to be centered with this seam right here, okay? And you're going to bring it up so it's, well, you're going to, so it looks like that from the side. You don't want it up like this, and you don't want it back like that. You want it just nice. Just nice. That's what you're going to do. And then you're going to take, I'm going to start from this angle because it's easier for you to, for me to show you. Again, leaving a tail. We're going to go up into the head. I don't know if you can see this. I can barely see it at the angle I'm doing it. You're going to pick up a piece of the head and then go back down, pick up 2 bars of the body, come back up, pick up a row, pick up the body. Don't get too close to the center of the neck. You want a wider piece. You want to come up a little bit so it's more sturdy on your, once it's attached, it's more sturdy. Okay, there we go. Just like that. And we're going to do this all the way around. Picking up a stitch, making sure that's centered. Picking up a stitch. I'm not going to do this on camera all the way around, but you're getting the idea. Picking up a row, getting in there. I'm going to do that all the way around. And when I get to where I started, I will meet back with you. All right, so once you have your head on, how you like it, we're gonna do one more thing. Well, we're gonna do more than one thing, but you're gonna put some brown yarn on your needle. You're gonna tuck that all in because that's how it looks on the underside. You're gonna tuck it all in, fold that in half. You're going to go right at the top of this leg, go through and into the top of the seam on the other leg and come out just like that, okay? Then you're going to go back in the other direction. Put a little stitch in between so that you can tie it. There we go. I'm coming up the other side. I'm going to take these 2 and I'm going to tie them. Just like that. Tie a knot. And again, put these back on your needle. Hide it up into your work. Now, you know, all of our stuffed animals, my stuffed animals that I do have a double layer. This one is folded and it has a single layer. And if I was to spread that apart, you could see the stuffing in there. But because we only did a flat layer and we didn't make it round, you can get away with one layer like that and not see the stuffing. And there is our cute little dog. All we got to do now is add the tail and then any embellishments that you want. That's what it looks like from the side. Here's how I have the nose. This is lined up pretty much. Okay, grab your 22 needle machine and we're going to go ahead and we're going to make the tail. We are now going to do the tail, and I have cast on already, going back and forth all around with my main body color, and we are going to knit 20 rows. This is for our tail. You're going to knit 20 rows, then you're going to cut off a yarn strand. It's 1.5, goes around your barrel 1.5 to 2 times, and you're going to cast off, picking up every stitch. And when you have that done, you will have your tail off the machine, and we will then work on attaching it to our body. So 20 rows, friends, then cast off. I completed my 20 rows. Now I'm going to cast off, bringing that all the way around again, making sure I stop before this needle of the first stitch pops up, and we're going to cast off. This is how I do it when I want to stay seated. Most often I will stand and I'll do one at a time when I'm working on this side, but sometimes I like to just do it this way. It's the same result, just a little different process. Oops, I don't think I caught that whole stitch, so let me just, there we go. Okay, friends, I'm going to remove my tail, and I'll see you back when I'm done that. We have the tail off the machine. We're going to go ahead and we're going to close up both ends. This one tight, the other one not so tight. I better not cut that off. Well, yes, I'm going to cut this one off. And I'm going to put this on my needle, and you got it. We're going to reinforce that top. I'm just going to go halfway because I can get it knotted off just like that. I can get it tight because we're not going to leave it like this, so we're okay with just getting it closed just like that. Pop this into the center. Tie another knot on the inside because I only tied one on the outside. Cut this off. Stretch that out again. Come on over to this side, and we're not going to close this one completely tight. We're just going to roll that up like that. Put this on our needle. That's why I was hesitating before, because that other piece was longer and it would have been better if I would have done this the opposite side. We're going to pull that. We're going to, well, here's where my tail is. So I'm going to roll, roll, and roll. Just like that. Into a little sausage. From there, we're going to do the mattress stitch. I've got the wide part of the V to the left and the wide part of the V to the left. That's how you're going to make sure that it lands. Take that through. We're going to go in, pick up 2, go in, pick up 2, and 2, all the way down. I'm going to stop and pull that tight. There we go. Roll this up again and continue on my way down. When I get to the end, I'm going to knot it off. So friends, go ahead, finish that off. When you get to the end, knot it off. Don't cut off your tail. If it's long enough, we'll use it for sewing on. There we go. Now we're going to just go to the back, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to just sew it on. And I don't think I need to stay with you to do that. We're going to sew it on just the same way we sewed the ears, picking up some, going from the top, going down, and we're going to just let it sit just like that. So go ahead, sew your tail on. There we go. Got a cute little tail on, knotted it off. It's adorable. That's what he looks like from the top. You're going to see him posing. He will stand on his own. You just have to, there we go. Perfect. You guys, this little puppy was so fun to make. So quick. Once you make one, you'll be able to make the next one so much faster, as with anything. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Go ahead, add a bow to the top of the head or on the collar, whatever you like. Embellish yours, and don't forget to show me in my Facebook group. Share your makes with us, and we would love to cheer you on. So again, friends, take care, and we'll see you in the next tutorial. Be blessed.